When you need to make plain text stand out, there's a hidden tool you can use to add outlines and amazing drop shadows. Here's a layout already started for night security using the Serpentine font. When you click on the text, you'll see this tiny little drop box that says Edit Text. And when you click on this down arrow, you'll see the options to edit outline and edit shadow. Now, it would probably make a little more sense if this said add an outline or add a shadow, because there's not an outline or shadow to edit just yet. But this is where you go to add outlines and drop shadows to your lettering. Let's start by double-clicking Edit Outline to add an outline, and then you'll see two options. You can start with either a thin outline or a thick outline, depending on your initial preference. No matter which option you choose, though, you'll be able to fine-tune the thickness of the outline using the slider bar. Once you click on Edit Outline, choose the color. For this example, we'll start with black. This slider bar allows you to adjust the thickness of the outline until you get the look and feel you want. When you play around with this slider control, the outline can actually get too thick. In certain situations, someone might need this extra range on the slider controls to create a particular design. Let's start in a range that's a bit more traditional. With the outline thickness shown here, you can see the subtle differences when you toggle between the sharp, round, and bevel types of outlines. I want to play off the sharp corners of this particular font, so I'm going to stay with the sharp outline option and take down the thickness a couple of notches. Now to add a drop shadow, just click on the text, click on this drop down arrow, and double click on Edit Shadow. You'll see an example of 3 different kinds of shadows you can start with. No matter which type of shadow you start with, though, the slider controls will give you unlimited flexibility to get the exact look you want. We'll just start with the hard shadow and show you how these 4 different slider controls work together. The top slider bar controls opacity. If you slide the control from right to left, the black outline starts to become transparent in increments. The more transparent the black becomes, the more gray it looks. In fact, you can make the black completely transparent and disappear by sliding the control all the way to the left. As you can see, changing the opacity level of the black has quite an impact on the look and feel of the overall design. The next slider bar controls the angle of the drop shadow. If this were an actual 3-dimensional letter on a wall outside, the angle of the shadow would depend on the angle of the sun. In this example, the shadow indicates the light source is up and to the left. If you wanted to simulate that the light source was down and to the right, you would change the angle so the shadow looked something like this. To give the shadow a more natural look, you can soften the sharp edge of the shadow by using the blur slider control. The 4th slider bar lets you control the distance and depth of the drop shadow. You can slide between having a lot of drop shadow to just a touch. Once you have the distance of the shadow about right, you can toggle between the other slider controls until you get the exact look you want. If you ever want to remove the outline or drop shadow, just slide the controls all the way to the left and they'll disappear. To go back and edit the text, just click on this little drop-down box again and double-click on Edit Text. Since night security patrols at night, they wanted a darker look to the lettering, so I'm changing the red to gray and using this bottom slider control to get the shade just right. And don't forget, you can always go back and fine-tune the line spacing and letter spacing using these controls once you've added your outline and drop shadows. In fact, you can even hover over the font list and instantly view other letter styles with the effects you've applied. Before we move on to the next video, there's just one minor glitch I want to point out about the shadows in SignMagic. When you get the drop shadows in your design exactly the way you want them to look, you can save your design, add it to the shopping cart, and buy now. So what's the glitch? The glitch is if you save your design and come back another day to work on it some more, SignMagic loses the settings on the drop shadows. That means if you want to purchase the sign you designed later, you'll have to add the drop shadow effect all over again. This pertains to the drop shadows only. SignMagic will preserve all the other settings when you save your design. As soon as we fix this little glitch, this part of the video will be removed. But for now, if you invest the time getting your drop shadows just right, you can avoid doing the work all over again by saving your design and then immediately checking out in the shopping cart to preserve the settings. Sometimes adding something as simple as a border can give your sign a nice finished look. In the next video, you'll see exactly how to add a border to your design and how to adjust it to suit your personal preferences.